Welcome back to Adrian's Avenue. And on the Avenue, we like to cover topics that will help you make better decisions for a better life. Because I truly believe that your daily decisions determine your destiny. And you've heard it, I've heard it, we've heard it for the last 2 or 3 years. A recession is coming, a recession. Do we know when it's going to hit? No. There's been predictions of from 2024, late 2024, up into 2027. But today we're going to cover how to be completely prepared for a recession. Stay tuned and stick around because you want to hear this one. Just like when a hurricane is coming, a tornado, you get warnings before it hits. And so I want to be clear on what a recession is. First of all, a recession is an economic decline in the activity for more than just a few months. The technical definition is if the gross domestic product is down for 2 quarters, that will say that we're in a recession. So of all the products that we're producing in the United States, if that value goes down for at least 2 quarters, we are technically in a recession. The last recession we had was around the COVID-19 era, and that was from February 2020 until April of 2020. You guys know what happened to the stock market. Of course, it rebounded shortly after that, but things were in disarray. You know how it was if you were around when COVID-19 hit in 2020. So this is the definition of a recession, but we kind of know when it's coming. So people have been predicting that a recession is coming because inflation is high and there's some other indicators out there, but no one knows exactly when it's going to hit because sometimes the government will do some things that will lighten up in some areas or make things look a lot better in some areas to kind of ward off the recession for a little longer. So let's go into more details about this recession. Let's go into more detail about the indicators that we can see when we know a recession is coming. Like I said, the gross domestic product is down for at least 2 quarters, consecutive 2 quarters. The next thing we look at is rising unemployment. So when unemployment increases, then we know that we may be headed for a recession. People are laid off from jobs due to reduced demand for goods and services. And that's a good indicator of a recession may be coming. Reduced consumer spending. Of course, we know when something is coming, we cut back on the spending and only spend on things that we just have to have. And when we don't spend a lot, businesses contract as far as what they're putting out on the shelves, what they're producing, their employees that they need. It's just a contraction. It's not an expansion. They don't go and do things that maybe that they were thinking of doing or growing the business. They're just trying to survive. And then there's a decline in real income. If people are losing jobs or jobs are being cut off or pay being decreased, well, then there will be a decline in your real income that you have coming into the house. And so those are some good indicators that we know that a recession may be on the way or a recession is coming. So we're going to get prepared for all of those. A recession is a part of a natural business cycle. We have ups, we have highs. When the stock market is doing great, everybody's getting hired, jobs are paying lots of money. There's low unemployment. And then we have lows when this changes on us. And one thing that we're going through right now is this high inflation. Inflation has been up for a while and it continues to go up. If you've eaten out lately, the prices are jumping pretty much weekly, if not monthly, of how much you're paying to eat out. So keep an eye on that. If you go to the grocery store, that's another indicator right there. Things are not coming down to where they used to be a couple of years ago. So this high inflation can lead us more quickly into that type of recession. Let's talk a little bit about how a recession may affect your household. One thing that we know for sure is no one's job is 100% secure. I don't care where you work, it's not 100% secure. And so when a recession hits, sometimes we have job losses. Most of the times we have job losses. And this could be someone in your household, one of the breadwinners. If it's 2 in there, it may be one of the 2. If it's only 1, it may be you that could potentially lose your job or could potentially get a pay cut If you work off of bonuses or anything like that, the bonuses may be delayed or cut out for a while. That is real income coming into your house that's actually affected by this recession. So don't be so secure in yourself that I'm not going to get cut, because we know one way that you can help yourself is to do a great job at work, because when it comes time to start cutting people, I know if I'm the manager, if I'm the owner of the company, the people that are not performing, that I probably should have gotten rid of already, those will be the first to go. And then companies start looking at other folks. Where can we cut off some of the fat? Do we need as many managers paying that high salary as we have right now? If we don't have as many people to supervise and manage, you don't need that many managers. So these are various things that companies look at when they look at cutting back. When they're in a contraction mode, they're not selling as much and they need to trim the fat to just survive. When you have these job cuts and job layoffs for your household, this could affect your spending. This will affect your spending. So there's uncertainty in your finances. That budget that you were working on and everything was going fine needs to be reevaluated and shifted, because this will affect your household spending. You'll start cutting back. And when you start cutting back, stop buying as much at the grocery store, that's another contraction in the businesses that are out there. Maybe not go out as much, not eat as much out as you used to, maybe not buy as many clothes as you used to buy, maybe cut down on some cell phone usage, or look at another cell phone program that's not as expensive as the one that you have right now. But these are things that you'll have to look at in your household, because it does affect your household when a recession hits. If you lose your job, or when you lose your job in a recession, this will drastically affect your household. Some people who are not prepared, doesn't have an emergency fund or anything like that, it may end up leaving you getting evicted or foreclosures on houses if it goes to that extreme. But this is not uncommon, because when you're used to a certain amount of money coming into the house and you're meeting your bills based on those two paychecks, or based on that one paycheck, full paycheck, and when it's not happening again like it used to, well, then things will start to be affected. Even if you quit going out to eat, if you don't have that money coming in, there will be things that will be affected by the lack of money you have coming in. So there's financial turmoil within the household, and there's some decisions that you have to make. Hopefully, unfortunately, it will not get to the part where you have a foreclosure, but these are things that happen during the recession because of the loss of income or layoffs. You just don't have that money to pay the bills, the necessary bills that you need to pay. This is not going out and eating or entertainment or splurging or anything. These are necessary bills, and sometimes it gets to that during the recession. You may think, oh, I'll just go to the bank and get a loan. Well, during a recession, banks are also contracting in what they're lending out. Things become a lot stricter. The rules and regulations as far as securing loans will become a lot stricter. And if you go into a bank and let them know that you don't have a job, they're probably more than likely not going to give you a loan, because you don't have a means of paying it back. So just keep that in mind, that the money that you may be able to obtain right now with a full-time job and everything going like it should, you may not be able to get that in the future if a recession hits and banks start getting stricter on their loans and everything like that. As far as buying house, even sometimes investors have problems getting loans for the houses that are coming on the market available for them to invest in as foreclosures. There's stricter rules and regulations. You can still sometimes get loans, but there are stricter rules, regulations. You may need to put down more money, because the banks are just as nervous about getting repayment on these loans. The savings and investments that we've often talked about on this channel in your household will be affected, because if you don't have the money coming in like you used to have, one thing that you want to look at for sure is how much I'm saving, how much I'm investing, because that money is now needed to pay my bills. So I'll have to cut back on that. Whatever savings I have, I might have to start using some of that savings or dipping into the emergency fund just to pay the bills that are necessary. So just know that your future investment in your IRA or your retirement accounts may be cut way down, if not off until things recover after the recession is over with. Needless to say, all of these cutbacks, all of these changes from your normal life is stressful. It's mentally draining and stressful on you. And that's why we're going to talk about a few things that will lessen that load as far as the stress and get you more prepared to handle this recession whenever it hits, or any other kind of financial downturn that may affect your household. We want you in the position, the best possible position that you can be in to handle these things. And we're going to talk about that real soon. Now, let me say this also. There are some public and social services that are available right now that when a recession hits, not only your household, but the city budget, the state budget will be looked at, and some things may be cut off of where you can get either services for free, food for free. All of this is going to probably shrink a little. So keep that in mind. If there's some things that either the elderly care gets for a reduced cost or for free, these kind of social public events that are free for them may be either drastically reduced or cut down quite a bit. So if you have someone that you're caring for that's getting something, like I know Meals on Wheels will provide meals to the elderly. If a recession hits, their shelves may go a little bare, or they may cut back on the days that they provide these meals. And I'm just saying, I'm not saying that that's what's going to happen, but that could be a consideration. So let's consider everything out there. When your budget is cut, the city and state budget is also cut, and everything is looked at to survive and get through this recessionary time. We're moving right along with a lot of information, but I want you to have it all. But I want you to hit that like button and that subscribe button so that you can stay up to date on the latest information as it becomes available to you. And also, make a comment. I love your comments. Thank you for hanging in there with me. We're growing by leaps and bounds. I appreciate that. I'm bringing you the best information that I possibly can because I want us to be prepared financially to get through whatever is thrown at us. Okay, before we get to the strategies of how to be totally prepared for a recession when and if it comes, let's talk about some of those jobs that may not be affected as much as other jobs. And one thing that comes to mind, recession or no recession, people are still going to get ill. So the healthcare system is one job that will probably be okay during the recession. The nurses, the doctors, the medication, the pharmacists that give out the medication. This is one area, no matter what the economy is doing, people continue to get sick. People continue to need health care. People continue to need to go to the hospital, see their doctor, see their dentist, see nurses, all of that. That will be around. So there's going to be staffing in that area. So if that's one of your jobs, you're probably sitting in a pretty good position as far as when a recession hits. It may not affect you as badly as it would some other areas. Public safety and law enforcement, firefighters, we're going to need all of those people because people are still going to be breaking the law. Police officers will still need them patrolling. Firefighters, if houses catch on fire, if there's fire anywhere, we need firefighters. So these are other positions, public positions that will remain in need regardless of whether there's a recession or not. Needless to say, we will need teachers out there still teaching the children. We will need people working in plumbing, electricity, automotive. More than likely, people rely on these people a lot more because instead of buying a new house, they will repair the house that they have. Instead of buying a new car, they'll look to do repairs on that car. This is the same thing that happened when COVID hit. People weren't buying new cars. You couldn't even get some of these new cars. So you're not buying them as much. And so you repair what you have and hang on to it. So the automobile mechanics, the plumbers, the electricians, all of those kind of workers will pretty much have a secure job like they do right now. Now, what you've been waiting on, let's get to those strategies that will help you during a recession. First thing I'm going to bring up, and you probably already guessed it, an emergency fund. If you have an emergency fund, this is what it's for. If you have a job loss, you may have 3, 6, 9, up to a year's worth of expenses, monthly expenses saved up. This will come in handy for you. it will be critical for you to have an emergency fund if a recession hits. You need this money that you can tap into to buy things to keep the family afloat until you can find another means of getting income into the house. Whatever that means is, it may not be your dream job anymore, but find something where you can work and get money coming back into the house. The emergency fund is critical. So the best thing that you can do right now is go ahead and start socking away money into an emergency fund, whether it's 3 months, 6 months, 9 months, or however long you want to go out. You want to sock money into that emergency fund. So you want to have that available to you so that you'll know that you have some sense of security that you can fall back on, and you won't maybe run into a foreclosure or lose your car or something like that. But you'll have that money set aside. So do that right away. Start it today. Look at your finances. Look at where you can start saving. Like I said, you may have a couple of months, you may have a year or two before you may need this money. But I've been talking to you about an emergency fund for a while, and now is the time to put your foot down and get that emergency fund built up so you will have that money available to you. That money is yours. You can have access to it whenever you want to. It is yours. So you're not throwing it away, giving it away, or putting it somewhere where you won't be able to get to it. An emergency fund is a fund that you need to have access to when you need it. You need to go in and be able to pull out of it when it's necessary. So don't lock it up into a CD or stock market or something like that, because we don't know what may happen to the stock market if a recession hits. Have that money available in a high yielding savings account that you can get to readily if you need it. Step number 2, reduce your debt. You need to start getting out of debt right now. Look at your credit cards, look at whatever other debt that you may have, and start chipping away at that debt. Because if you don't have bills to pay, you won't have that much coming out every month that you will be responsible for. So getting out of debt is critical if and when a recession hits. You don't want to be writing checks to everybody, because these bill collectors are not going to stop coming after you just because a recession is in force, is in effect. So get your bills down. If you can knock off, writing checks for $100 a month, that's $100 more that you will have available to you that you won't have to write checks to if a recession hits. So get those bills, get those debts paid down, especially credit cards, you all. Get the credit cards paid down, because if a recession does hit, you may need some of that room on your credit card to buy some things to hold you over until you can get some more money coming into the household. So get those credit cards paid down, get whatever small bills paid off, and start paying on the larger bills, the car payments and all of that. Start doing that. Like I said, you may have months, you may have a year or two to get this done, but let's focus on it right now. Let's stop putting it off and get it done, because we don't know what financial disaster may hit us. It may be a recession. It may be something else. I don't know, but you want to be in the position to handle it the best you can. And these are the first 2 things you want to start with. If you don't have a budget in place by now, what are you doing? We've been talking about budgets. We've been talking about getting out of debt. What are you doing? Get a budget in place. Even if it's a spreadsheet, Excel spreadsheet, get a budget in place. You need to know how much money you have coming in as well as how much you have going out. A budget is your best friend for controlling your spending. We spend, we save, we give, we do various things with our money. But if you don't know what's going on with your money, and if MasterCard or Visa knows more about what's going on with your money than you do, it's a sad situation. Get a budget in place today. Finish this video first and then go get your budget in place. It'll take 30 minutes to an hour to look at everything, get that budget in place, and then follow the budget. There's a certain amount of money that you can spend on certain things. Also, in the budget, you can have a line for fun items where you can, maybe $10, $20, $30 a month that you can go out and do stuff with. But have a line for that. I would also put a line in there for savings. So have a line for all of that, but make sure all of your bills get paid on time like they should. Get a budget in place. What are you doing? Get a budget in place. Let's move on to number 4. If you are relying on one single income, let's say you're the head of the household, one income in the household. If you're solely relying on that job to be your single source of income, you're in danger. I would say look for other things that you can do, look for other talents that you may have, start earning money from other areas. We've talked about a few. You can go review some of my other videos about earning money in other areas, but I would say do not rely on a single job to just be your single source of income, because the hand that feeds you can also be the hand that will starve you. If you rely on one source of income and it's cut off, guess what? You have no more money coming in. If you have talents that you can do other things, this is great. This is right up your alley where you could help yourself as far as doing other things. A couple of things that come to mind. I know I'm needing a seamstress lately. I went over to this lady's house. I found her on Yelp, went over to her house. She lives in an apartment. She has in the living room a platform where you can actually stand on that she can, hem your items or at least put pins in your items that you try on. She has this whole thing set up. She has a curtain pull that you can go back and change clothes. She's working from an apartment at a business, and she's not inexpensive. Okay. Sewing is a great thing to do. Elder care. If there are elderly people in your area that you can help out and maybe sit with them, things that are non-medical now, but sit with them for a time, just to have someone there with them. It may be something that you may be able to do or interested in doing. There are various things that you can do. Any other talent that you may have out there. Photography. Lately, I've been needing pictures. I'm a photographer myself, but I need to take someone to take pictures of me. In real estate, we need pictures done pretty often. So there are things that you can do. Just look at your talents. What is it that I can do to make some extra money? And go out there and put yourself out there. Make sure you're good at whatever it is, but put yourself out there and get another stream of income coming in for you. If you're still in the working field, I would, if I were you, try to network or at least keep your ear to the ground on other opportunities at different companies. Because if something were to happen to your company, it doesn't mean it's going to happen to every company. And so they may be looking for someone to come in, maybe at your position, but always be listening for other opportunities out there. Have a networking, because if something were to happen, you could call your networking system and see who may be hiring. If there's a need for something or if there's a need for something else, what kind of education are people getting to maintain these jobs or go up in the company? Keep your ear out for all of those. So if you're in the working field, if you still have a job, a full-time job, make sure you're listening, keeping your eyes open, keeping your ears open so that you can, if something were to happen to your current job, you can have a good opportunity to go into something else and maintain some sort of income coming into your household. Last, I will say, since you do have the money coming in now and your job is secure, hopefully everything is in order, the best thing that you can do right now is invest wisely, save wisely, but put your money where it can make you the most money that it possibly can. If a recession hits, I can pretty much guarantee you all these interest rates are going to drop down to probably below 1%. So you won't be making much on your money then. Take advantage of the things that you can right now. We've talked about the high yield savings account. Go back and look at that video. It's a hot one on my YouTube channel. Look at that video, see where you can put your money right now to gain as much as you possibly can. Investing wisely. Look at the stock market. If you're into the stock market, look at the stock market. If you're into CDs, look at certificates of deposits. Do some things for yourself right now to hedge off whatever may be coming in the future. So hopefully these tips have been helpful for you and helpful to you. And so you'll be completely prepared. There's only a certain amount that you can do when it hits, just like if a hurricane is going to hit, it's going to hit, right? But you can prepare your house, prepare your family as much as you possibly can, and you can brave the storm and take, the high points of the storm as much as you possibly can. And that's all you can do. Prepare yourself as much as you can. And when it hits, you won't be totally wiped out. You'll know that something is coming. I'm prepared. At least I have this, this, and this. And we're going to survive this. We're going to get through, and we're going to be better on the other end. With that being said, I will see you in the next video.